Thank you for auditing the Always Positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who has to review every song that The Smile releases. In this case, I'm reviewing the song The Smoke. Now, I'm a big Radiohead fan, as I've discussed many times on this channel, and on my previous video about their last song, You'll Never Work in Television Again, I'll include a link to it up there, I opened it up with a sort of general question about why does this band exist? If it has the same producer, guitar player, singer as Radiohead, the main creative forces behind Radiohead, why did they have a solo project? Now, that was an interesting take, and it was a little bit more theoretical about the expectations of what Radiohead is. But I think this song indicates something else that is really fun and part of what makes The Smile interesting and such a worthwhile side project for these great geniuses of rock, is that they want to jam. They want to jam, man. Like, I am a musician. I'm not a great musician. I've never done anything even approaching the level of Radiohead or even Coldplay. But I am a musician, and I know what it's like when you're playing with people that you like playing with, and you just come up with a little crunchy groove, and you just get into it, and you play with each other, and it's super loose, and it's super nice, and it just has this great feeling. It's a restorative, it's a healing feeling. And you can get it with people that you've jammed with forever, which is how I'm sure it is for Radiohead when they play together. But by having this new drummer from Sons of Kemet, this new added element, this stripped down nature, it allows them just to be kind of looser, just kind of jammy. I mean, they're not the Grateful Dead here, but they are just dudes hanging around having fun and releasing music that is lower stakes in terms of its scope, in terms of its aspirations. But I wouldn't say that makes it any worse. So, what is this song, This nice, jammy song? Well, definitely it is a drum song. Well, it's a bass song. Well, I can't tell. You tell me in the comments. What is the more dominant instrument in the song? Is it the bass or is it the drums? It starts off with these drums, with this insanely funky, amazingly produced drum line. There's like this echo on the snare, has this kind of underwater feel, and it's just the definition of a groove, of just a drummer who finds a groove, an amazingly simple yet impossible to play drum line. It's this level of, I often think of, the great funk drummers like Clyde Stubblefield in James Brown's band, to make a funky drum beat. Like, the funkiest drum beats aren't the ones that blow people's minds. They're the ones that have like a certain syncopation, a certain shuffle. In this case, it's his hi-hat work that just sort of transcends flashy drums. And just, sorry, I actually do need to sip my water here. I don't edit these videos. If this is your first time watching me, this is how I do it. I'm in my office. It's my office hours, but I put a sign out saying "Do not disturb." I'm talking about Tom York, Johnny. It's this groove, this amazing groove that is just the absolute total heart of this song. Maybe. Or is it the bass line? Now, mind you, I make videos in which I don't give ratings. I don't give scores. I give thoughts. And I don't possess great accuracy, but I hope that I possess great insight. So in my previous song about You Never Do This on Television Again, my previous video, I talked about how there are these great 4 snare hits. And of course, there's 5 snare hits. The song's in 5/4. So I totally made a mistake. So in this song, I'm going to be talking about this bass line. But please know, it's entirely possible that this bass line is played on a guitar instead of a bass. Doesn't matter to me. What matters is the way that it functions. It functions like a bass line that is synced up with this amazingly funky drum beat to just create this groove, this loose, nice groove for the smile to go in. It's almost like a bass exercise, just like working on your finger work and your precision and your rhythm. And again, it may be played on guitar. If you're one of those smart people, those Adam Neely-esque geniuses who are much better than I am at analyzing music on a technical level, is this just a guitar played low, or is it just a bass played kind of like it might be played by a guitar player? No matter what it is, even if it is a bass, it's going to be played by a guitar player. And the way guitar players play bass is different than the way bass players play bass. The same way the way guitar players play drums is different. It's a weird, when instruments cross like that, this feels like a bass line written by a guitarist, which is what it is. It does have the sort of repetition and menace of Radiohead. That's one of the more underrated elements of Radiohead. They're always talking about being sad, but also that sense, the word they use in one of their songs, gloaming. The song has a gloaming feeling, which is reflected by the lyrics themselves. It has kind of an odd song structure, which many Radiohead songs have. There's it's like 4 or 5 verses and like a bridge that has like a fake verse in the middle of it. I'm going to describe it as I go along, but really they're not into this whole verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, right? It's very much this free-flowing thing, which springs from the jammy nature of this band, of 3 people who can't stop but make music, can't help but make crunchy grooves, man. And see, now I'm going to ask you to like this video. Smash the like bucket and subscribe after saying crunchy grooves. So, actually you can dislike this video because I said crunchy grooves, and you shouldn't like anything where somebody says crunchy grooves. I'm drinking more water than usual because I've just been teaching all day, and it requires an amazing amount of strength to pronounce and teach French through this damn mask. Very difficult. So let's get to the song. So it opens up with this kind of like weird electronic sound of something getting started. Beautiful drums, this bass line, which may be played by a guitar, this bass line which comes in, and then his voice comes in high and sweet with the words easy and easy. Eventually, and for most of the song, each line of the melody is going to be mirroring, parroting, matching the lines from this guitar line, which gives it an interesting sort of synced up rhythm and synced up melody as well. Especially on the second half of the verse. So these verses are very simple and they're very quick, and everything's just based around these guitar lines that are played over and over again. But like, what they do with them is so interesting and so subtle. So as an example, on the second half of this first verse, a guitar comes in to accentuate the bass line, but just the last 3 notes. Boom, boom, boom. Lots of heavy reverb. So we have lots of reverb, which is an echo effect. If you're not a professional who knows what reverb is, think Heartbreak Hotel. So we have the reverb drums and this reverb guitar way in the back that then leads into some kind of a hum of what sounds like feedback, or could possibly be the horns which are on the way. The second verse comes, and instead of it being joined by guitar, it's joined by horns. And then these horns are also partially matching this bass line that drives the entire song. If you missed Sons of Kemet's album last year, Black to the Future, I also did a review of that. I'll include a link to it up there. Okay? This is a great album. It doesn't matter if you like jazz or don't like jazz. If you like music, this is an amazing album. And this very much feels like Radiohead has been listening to Sons of Kemet. They've of course been influenced by jazz for a long time. A lot of Amnesiac was inspired by jazz musicians, Louis Armstrong and all that. But what's nice here is even some of the members of Sons of Kemet are playing, including Theon Cross, who is the tuba player, and tuba that's the element of Sons of Kemet. I mean, the drummer's great, but you listen to Sons of Kemet because you believe that tuba can be great. What's nice about the horns is that the way that these things work together, we have this bass line, which may very well be played by a guitar. I'm just going to call it the bass line from here on out. I'm sorry if it annoys you. I am sorry. I'm not going to say sorry, not sorry. I am sorry. I wish I could be more accurate, but my ears don't pick it up. This bass line is very staccato. And the horns often provide a glissando over it. So staccato is chopped up, glissando is just long and extended, which creates a sort of internal variation and makes these horns quite interesting because you never know if they're going to be glissando or staccato. He then says, which leads us into this bridge, which is this totally out of nowhere horn and swirling melody that doesn't seem to quite start. And I'll be talking about the lyrics soon, and the lyrics themselves are kind of all over the place. The bass is doing something different, and this bridge never quite forms into something different. I had the same feeling about the previous song that they released, where there are certain parts of the songs that don't even really sound like they've formed totally. Now, is this intentional? Is this what the smile is doing intentionally? Or is this just a relic of the fact that they just put this music together quickly and they want it to have that raw feel? Legato over staccato. Then there's a false verse in the middle of this bridge, where he starts to sing about this one true revolution, and then there's this kind of like oboe sound, but I think it's an oboe, maybe a clarinet, and then goes back into this bridge sound. So we have like almost a sort of movement, and it pulls us back, and it's a very sort of unsettling, interesting decision in the song structure altogether. Leads us into the third verse. The horns now are much more legato. The second half, the guitar joins again, and then the horns leave in the first half, and then halfway through, there's just a moment with just the horns, the drum, and the bass. Again, very reminiscent of the Sons of Kemet. Much more matching of the singing, so that the singing doesn't always match the bass line entirely. It goes in and out of matching it, but here, especially when he sings lines, we set ourselves on fire. We have the outro, which is the bridge, and I just love this extended outro with this instrumental groove. Without Tom York's vocals, this song would not be interesting enough, but his vocals are not the best part of the song. The best part of the song is this groove. This drum line, this bass line, the way they fit together, not necessarily what the words are, but the way the voice interacts and the way the horns interact and everything. It is both sort of minimal and maximal at the same time. What a great song. Lyrically, this is the Tom York wheelhouse, okay, of people ignoring problems. People who set themselves on fire and then complain about being woken up from the smoke. Now, what is this about? It could be global warming, the environment. You'll see behind me, I have a bottle. It's actually the same one as this. This is their water bottle from the 2008 tour. I got it when I saw them play in Glasgow. I lived in Glasgow that summer. I was house sitting. So, like this is an example of like perfect Radiohead merchandise, because it's both cool and stylized while it's also about eliminating plastic waste. A lot of their stuff is about sustainability and all that, and so I use that from 2008 to 2018. So when I teach, because my throat hurts, all I drink is water. I don't drink coffee. So after that, this is all messed up, right? Look at that, right? That's 10 years of usage. So I have this that I'm going to use from 2018 to 2028. What am I going to use in 2028? Number 3, right here. Still got the tag on there. No, you can't look at it. So it makes sense, right? The sort of global warming theme fits really well. But it's funny, I'm thinking about that movie Don't Look Up, which came out on Netflix. Hit or miss movie, mostly good. A little bit on the nose. But what's funny was when it ended, my wife and daughter were like, wow, what a great movie about COVID. It's like, what? No, that was a movie about global warming. And we had a whole argument about whether or not the metaphor in Don't Look Up was about global warming or COVID. But they're so similar. We're having all these same problems. The rise of fascism, the rise of far-right politics. We are all in this weird state of sleeping and setting ourselves on fire, and I don't think it has to be about one thing. I don't think it has to be about global capitalism leading to the destruction of our planet. I think it can be about all of these things. In that way, it reminds me a fair amount of, and I realize his lyricism kind of reminds me of Marvin Gaye and the album What's Going On. A sort of general, large take on a bunch of things, trying to wake people up, but not in a super specific way. There's even one time where he says, yeah, on this song, where Tom York says, yeah, that really reminds me of a Marvin Gaye, What's Going On style, yeah. I don't know if you hear that too. Tell me in the comments if that just sounds crazy. So, the song's all about fire and about smoke, and there's lots of fires going on here. Longtime viewers of this channel will know that my least favorite song of all time is We Didn't Start the Fire. So I don't think this is in dialogue with that, but my answer to that is, yes, you did, you boomer pig. That's how I respond to Billy Joel. So what's interesting about the song? So it starts off with the word easy. I don't know why he starts off with the word easy, except for maybe that's the goal. The goal in life is convenience, and Radiohead is obsessed. Tom York is obsessed with people's reliance on ease, At Ease is the name of their website, and he's obsessed with the idea of convenience and the addiction of convenience and the addiction of ease, so it makes sense. I desire a second chance. I have set myself on fire. The way that he said this, I have set myself on fire. It's the longest way you can possibly state that. It appears to be like somebody who is not on fire. here's a test. So you sit at home, okay, and imagine that you're on fire. Are you going to say, I have set myself on fire? Or are you going to say this, I'm on fire? I have set myself on fire. This is a person who is cool with being on fire. This is somebody who understands that theoretically there's a problem here. There might be a problem that I'm on fire. I have set myself on fire. Don't mess with me as I die in the flames. This is a very, very strong statement about, in general, right-wing politics, about their belief in freedom and that they shouldn't be messed with. And if they're messed with, they're losing their freedom to die in the flames. And of course, their freedom to kill everybody in the flames. There's an interesting thing with this bridge, this other part of the song, where the line is, smoke wakes me from my sleep. But intentionally, Tom starts it with, wakes me from my sleep. Smoke wakes me from my sleep. And I think that's intended to create a sort of cyclical feeling where you feel like you've missed out at the beginning. Like it just starts with, wakes me from my sleep. Smoke wakes me from my sleep. It implies that it's been going the entire time, and that it's this kind of cyclical line. Smoke wakes me from my sleep. Smoke wakes me from my sleep. And what a truly terrible image. To be woken by smoke is a terrible thing. Historically, most people who've been awoken by smoke have burned to death. That's the situation that Tom puts us in. Now, I don't know what to make of this sense of one true revolution, because this song is sung mostly from the perspective of somebody who is sort of intentionally ignorant of the catastrophe that they are a part of and that they are a victim of global warming, of the COVID, of rising fascism, of a whole bunch of things, right? The metaphorical fire that they both set and are allowing to happen. So is calling for a revolution like some other person? Is this a change of perspective where we're now calling revolution on that person? Or is this person talking about one true revolution? I don't get it. I don't get why the word "a one true revolution" is in this song. Tell me in the comments if you know. What does he actually mean? Why does he say one true revolution? Now, the perspective does change in the final verse. It changes from I to we. We should give ourselves another chance, let go of our troubles, into our caress, set ourselves on fire. So this is, I think, intentional as well for the sense of groupthink, where we're allowing ourselves to believe that we're okay, and if we're all in it together, which we all are in it together, and we're all burning together, then it's sort of like it's not just an individual. It's not just one person who's doing it. It's all of us doing it together. So that's an important change, this sort of collective mistake that we're making and calling us out. The problem with these, by the way, Radiohead, if you're watching this, is like over time, they get all rusted and messed up. So like from 2015 to 2018, every time I take a sip, I get a little chunk of metal in there. It's not good. Like eating Crustios. A final word about this song, this great song. What a great song, especially in comparison or in concert with the previous song that's been released. And just so everybody knows, I'm not watching the performances. I'm not watching their Instagram. I'm not watching Glastonbury. I am listening to the songs as they come out. I want it to be new to me. That's what I've always done. I never listened to any of the songs off In Rainbows before they came out. I just want to experience the songs when they release them. Because Radiohead is probably the greatest live band in the world, and they're probably also the greatest studio band in the world. I don't know how they're able to do that, but I like to experience them separately. So, one more thing to mention is the video. The music video is interesting. It's a kind of black and white version of the kind of 60s psychedelic imagery with just kind of, it's all made in 16 millimeter by some guy named Mark Jenkin. And it's a nice companion piece, because the words of the song kind of briefly show up and it has a kind of chaotic feel, and it's sort of black and white psychedelia, which is interesting because psychedelia is all about color. So there's my thoughts on the new song by The Smile, The Smoke, The Smoke, The Smile. It's a great song and it portends great things for there. So for all three of my Radiohead water bottles, there's the camera.